I am Saul Aronovitch, and welcome to Journey Through the Veil. This video, I'm going to talk a little bit about an imaginary friend that I once had that began the openings of my awareness to another world that was beyond sight. And then we'll travel a little bit into the dream world later on, where new revelation came to me. Another area where the veil was lifted just a little bit more. And all these different aspects allowed me to get a little bit closer into understanding of who I am in this world and the challenges that would come with it later on. Because keep in mind, the more that you unpeel the onion layers that you have, or the veil that you have, the more you unpeel it, the more raw inside it gets. So have courage and have trust in yourself that you can reveal this and you can go through this. Enjoy. At that age, when you're young, oftentimes we have imaginary friends. Some do and some don't. Well, I had an imaginary friend also. And that imaginary friend was one of the reasons why I was able to entertain myself even at that age when friends were few and far between. We'd play together. We'd interact with each other. We'd answer questions and ask questions. But there was one little thing about my imaginary friend. My imaginary friend was just a pair of eyes. 2 eyes. And 2 eyes was literally just 2 black dots that would come along the top of my ceiling that against the wall. So you have where the wall and the ceiling meet, just in a little crevice there. Usually it was in where the window was. Blinds. I had blinds, and you pull the blinds down, to cover from the light. You lift them up. So 2 eyes would usually come from one end of the blinds to the other. And I would call out 2 eyes, 2 eyes, and these 2 little dots would come and go back. Yes was up and down, no was left and right. So 2 eyes actually didn't speak. Now, a lot of the times when it comes to imaginary friends, the imaginary friends really know how to interact with us because, well, it comes from our imagination. I would say not necessarily. You see, 2 eyes was very much spirit. At that age, when we talk about imaginary friends, they aren't always simply imaginary. Sometimes they are actually spirit. And we might interact with them at that age, and we might have questions, and we might be able to answer questions that the spirit is reflecting back to us, and then we can relate it to our parents, but the parents will say, how did you understand that? How did you know that information? Well, for me, I didn't really end up with that. For me, it was 2 eyes that would answer my questions by simply going up and down or left and right. We need at least one to be able to talk to. Mentors, guides, even if the guide and mentor cannot respond back. It is so important to be able to have even someone, whether in this world or out of this world, that we can interact with, and we know that there's a response as well. It's not just speaking out from nothing. It is important that we have at least one person we can talk to at the level that we understand. Of course, we can say the ascended masters, the highest of the highs. Well, of course, we can communicate with them. Of course, we can interact. And yes, we'll receive responses. But we as human beings also need at our level. Our level, yet with an awareness beyond our level, so that they can help us walk through a mentor. Now, Two Eyes for me was that mentor at the time. I was able to interact with Two Eyes. Tell Two Eyes my sorrows and my pains and my struggles, and when certain things would happen in my world around me, whether it's being bullied at school, very strong challenges at home, I will say. Two Eyes was there to listen. One day, though, I was about 10 years old, and I came home from school completely distraught and bruised, devastated, knowing that I can't speak to anybody about what I'm going through, again, as I mentioned before, because of how I see the world. And I will explain as I go through these videos how I actually do see the world. Here, I'm giving you a bit of the introduction, because I know for a fact that as I speak to you, there are many of you who will see the world the same. Guaranteed. Or at least on the same lines. So I come home, bruised, banged up, completely devastated. Silenced myself, closed myself off, solidified my shell even thicker, because I practiced that like you wouldn't believe, thickening my shell, thicken, so I would not feel any pain. But of course we know what that does. So I come home, time for bed, and usually Two Eyes comes when it's bedtime. Two Eyes, I'm calling for him. Nothing. Two Eyes, where are you? I need to speak to you. I've gone through some heavy things and I need to speak to you because I need comfort. Please come out. But he didn't. At 10 years old, Two Eyes left. Now I mentioned to you, some might think it's imagination. I believe it was spirit. It's okay however you interpret what I see. That is your perception. This was my perception. And I'll tell you as we go through these videos how that perception grows to more factual for me. Because that wasn't the first time that I saw spirit. But he didn't come. And I felt so devastated that my one and only friend that I thought was gone. So I thickened my shell, secluded myself even more. And as the heaviness set in, the more challenging life became for me, because my mentor is gone. And at the time, that was my mentor. What did I confide in Two Eyes? Dreams are really important for me. So important that they are profoundly revealing, prophetic, questions answered, or fears revealed. There are so many different aspects of dreams, and I can talk to you about dreams later on in these videos, much later on, because there's some pretty powerful things about dreams and how we ourselves can interact with them. Back then I didn't know that. But there were cracks through the veil. Cracks through the veil that revealed certain things. And in particular, when I was young, dreams. I'll give you an example. In my dream, I'm in bed and I get up. I walk along the long corridor in my hallway. And I sit down on the couch, and it's dark. Nighttime. As if the dream was happening at the exact moment in the real time. And I sit there on the couch and I bundle myself up with a pillow and a blanket, and I'm sitting there. And at the couch, in front of me, was the door to my parents' bedroom. But I sit and I just wait. I didn't know I was waiting. That's just what was happening. And then I look off to the distance around the living room, and there's a tall black figure, fully cloaked, that comes out. Oh, I get chills just thinking about it now. Tall black figure coming, but the figure wasn't walking, it was hovering. The cloak was full to the ground, so I didn't see if there was feet or not, but there was no bounce in a walk. It was smooth. And as the entity, the being, came around from the distance in the living room and made its way towards me, and as soon as it came in front, it stopped. It turned to me and revealed big green eyes. I can still see them today. Big green eyes. And it leaned down, so close to my face, leaned down. No mouth, no face, just the eyes. Looking down. And I froze, just looking at this thing staring back at me. It was definitely not the same two eyes in my curtain, in my rod. And then it lifted up, turned and walked into my parents' bedroom. Went towards my mother, lifted her up. She was sleeping, I thought. Sack of potatoes, threw her over his back. Legs dangling, she did not move. It's as if she was dead at the time. And he hovered back, didn't look at me this time, and went back to where he came, behind the armoire. And when he did, I woke up. Frozen solid, I woke up. I run into my mother's bedroom, into my parents' bedroom, and she's still lying there, and I give her a big hug. She didn't understand why. When I was 20, she died. And she left us before then. We can get into that story later. But when I was 20, she died. I've also dreamt about births. Usually births are much faster than those many years. Deaths now, if I dream of a death, it's not metaphorical. I don't necessarily know who, but it's not metaphorical. Same thing with birth. These are the veils that we're overwhelmed by. These are the veils that we have that are covered over us. That if we are aware of the so many interactions we have in this place, we will see that there's so much through that veil that we have no clue of. We're so overwhelmed by everything in this space that we are completely blind to a world that we are covered by. Like a child, I used to cover my head with a blanket underneath, terrified of any entities that would come because I felt them so strongly. I saw them so strongly. So I would cover myself. No, we know that's not really going to protect anything, but it's the emotional response that I had. So this has been Journey Through the Veil. I am Saul Aronovitch. If you're going through something like that, or something much deeper or darker, please don't give up hope. And you do not need to do this alone. There is a lot of help out there for you. And as I've explained, for me at the beginning, especially when I felt so alone in all of this, there is a part that is alone, but it is not the part that needs to take you down. Because we are together in all this. There is a collective unity of love and understanding and compassion that allows us to share an experience with each other and to help each other reveal and to come out of those depths. So if you're in them now, I highly encourage you to go get that help. Journey with me together, walk with me together as we reveal more the truths about who you are, what your potential is, what the true value of you is here on this earth and beyond. because we have value. We are so much more than what we see in the mirror. Let's walk this journey together, and although it might be difficult, we reveal our truth. And that truth behind us is driven by the utmost glorious joy and love. Love that you receive and love that you give. I'll speak to you soon.